Okay. All right, I think we are streaming. I'll hear about, oh, there we go. All right, so Georgia, are you ready? We can start. I'll start by um, showing a couple slides, and then I'll just hand it off to you. And
Okay.
okay, so let me start recording. Cool. Let's see. I forget how to do this every week. All right, I'm gonna share my screen, y'all. Welcome. It's Friday. It's Friday night, at least where I am. I know it's different for a lot of you. It's Saturday morning where some of you are, and it's Friday afternoon where some of you are, and wherever you are, welcome. We call it Friday Night Comics. We believe in comics Friday night workshops, so welcome. Let's see. What do we usually say on these slides? I saw Sequential Artists Workshop is where you are online virtually. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. We have a lot of online courses, and we like to teach people how to how to make comics. And you can find us at learn.sawcomics.org. Coming soon, starting, oh, look, we have a picture of Georgia, but it says Robert above. See, I didn't do that correctly. Sorry about that. We have a big certificate program starting soon. I'm not going to talk about that too much because it's just about full. Next week, we have Robert James Russell, who's going to do Drawing Yourself as Non-Human Characters. That's Georgia down below, not Robert. Sorry about that. In October in Gainesville, Florida, with Tommy Parrish coming. We're really excited about that, 16th through the 20th. Tommy's paintings are so beautiful, and the stories are really, really full of humanity. So if you've got a chance or are nearby or can get nearby, think about coming to that. SAW survives from tuitions and donations. We pay our instructors for all these workshops, so I want to thank everybody for donating. It helps pay the artists. You can support SAW a number of ways. I'll put those in the chat: PayPal, Patreon. You can become a sustaining donor, and there's a way to do that. That's some of our friendly SAW people. And then we'll get started. So please, no inappropriate speech or imagery. We've had a couple of people we've had to kick out, but it hasn't been too bad. No trolling or hate speech. Please keep it PG-13. I already saw 1 or 2 kids in the room, and we love that. We love having families in the room. So share what you do tonight on social media. Use the hashtag Friday Night Comics. You can tag us at Comics Workshop. You can share at the members.sawcomics.org website, and I'll put Georgia's info in the chat. It's GEE_Weber with 2 B's, but I'll put that in the chat so you can share with her as well. Enjoy. Yay, it's Georgia Weber. These are some of her images and some of her recent posts. Let's stop sharing. How do we do that? There we go. Georgia, I am going to spotlight you. Watch out. Here it comes. And I am going to mostly remove myself. I'll be in the chat. I'll be summarizing what you do for people, or what you say and things like that. And anytime you just need me to do something, just holler. Welcome.
That's perfect. Thank you,
Yay.
Tom. Hi, everybody. Yeah, this is going to be what feels like, I don't know, a lot of information, even for me to try to share with you, but I want to make sure you can hear me okay. Is everybody finding my sound manageable? Yeah, I see thumbs. Okay, I like that. Good, good, good. Yeah, I want to start with, I'm going to invite you tonight to do a lot more kind of reflection and drawing out those reflections as you like. I think most of the sharing that I would ask you to do will take place in the chat, because health, which is the topic of our time together tonight, is such a deeply personal thing. It is actually non-specific. We don't have much of a definition for health that we all share. And I'm going to take that in this particular case. My choice in this moment is to take that as a good thing, because if we all had exactly the same definition of health, it would be a bar for all of us to meet. It would be perhaps very challenging to our differences and to allowing ourselves to be different. So I wanted to invite you for this time that we share together to start with defining what health means to you. And because this is personal and because we don't tend to think about this definition on a daily basis, let's take a moment. Let's have just a minute, maybe two, of maybe journaling. If you want to scribble, doodle any of your thoughts. What does health mean to you?
And we can put it in the chat too, right?
Yeah, I would say take a moment to think about it, and then once you have some ideas, go ahead and add them to the chat. Yeah, and for those of you who are just joining in, we're taking a moment to write or draw or just reflect for ourselves what health means to us personally, individually. Yeah, and when you're ready, when you have some answers, I'd love to see them in the chat so that we can all get to know each other's ideas of health and potentially borrow each other's ideas of health. If it's something that hasn't been on your mind or you haven't reflected a whole bunch about it, this might be a place of learning, of seeing things for the first time. And we'll see the whole variety, all the different things that come to different people in different states. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of really, I think, really natural feeling answers, like quality of life and equilibrium in body and mind, caring for all of our parts, balance, flow, connection. Absence of pain is a really interesting one. Yeah, that's come up more than once, actually. Room to breathe and move, freedom, energy, contentment, vibrancy, ability, feeling well and strong. There's also reference to that very difficult to define parts of us. We talk about physical health, mental health, and there's spiritual health and emotional health. And surely there are more planes than that that can all be in different states of well-being at any given time. And people are bringing up, oh yeah, resistance to illness, flourishing, spaciousness. Yeah, there's so many different ways to consider health in the body, health in the self. Yeah, there are probably going to keep being answers to this question. I'm really glad for that. Reflecting on health often comes up more as a kind of default state or an alternate to a lack of health or a disease or challenges with our health. Those are things we define really easily. Those are also things that our brains focus on automatically. And I think that's also reinforced somewhat by our culture to look for the pains, the problems, the tensions, what is going wrong. From a brain's perspective, identifying what's going wrong and focusing on it is survival. Because if you had a cut that was giving you pain and you didn't pay attention to it and you didn't care for it, that cut may end up infected, and infection could easily lead to death before our modern times when medicine for that kind of thing was so readily available. But even now, ignoring a problem can be a real life or death issue, and certainly a quality of life issue. So we tend to think about the ways in which our health is faltering or failing quite easily. And if you're finding that to be the case right now, if you're really focusing on the things that hurt or the things that don't work, I just want to say that's not your fault. Your brain is doing its job. So any way you can depersonalize that focus, I think helps at least to see the bigger truth of it, which is that your brain is doing its job, and that doesn't have any reflection or meaning about how good you are or the right or wrong ways you're thinking. That's actually just a biological function that's very important. And since there are so many different states of health, health in a more general way, conditions of health, states of health being ones that might be favorable or unfavorable, challenging to us or welcome to us, I'm going to focus us back on just some really simple measures of how we can notice those things. Personally, I want to share the reason I care about this, the reason that this is what I teach, and I actually teach drawing health every Saturday as a practice, as part of Saw's network. The reason I care about this is because I've had chronic pain since I was 10. I've had more than one iteration of it occur at different times in my life, coming up in different expressions. Like, I had chronic stomach pain since I was 10 that deeply affected my ability to eat. It still does. And then it became voice pain in my early 20s, and that affected my ability to speak. That's where Dumb, my book, that's a memoir, comes from. And it's also affected my ability to draw. And so my states of health have been at odds with other aspects of my well-being. And so I have a lot of experience and a lot of time in that brain state of focusing on what's going wrong and trying to solve the problem. What I've come to after all of this time, because it's been, 3/4 of my life, 2/3 of my life at this point, through all of that journeying and trying to fix the problems, trying to respond adequately, trying to make things better, I started to redefine health not as a fixed state of things, not as a certain quality of life or for things to be going a way that I prefer or that I enjoy. I've actually come to define health as simply the ability to respond to whatever is happening. Because not having the ability to respond could easily lead down a dark path that ends in my life ceasing to matter or perhaps ceasing to be. But as long as I have the ability to respond to whatever is happening, whether it's a cut that happens by accident, whether it's a disease manifesting in my body, whether it's pain that I can't understand or make go away, as long as I can respond to it, I feel a certain strength or a certain sense of health in the world. Now, this is a really squishy definition of health because I need it to be, because I live with pain every day. And I don't want to think of myself as unhealthy every day. I don't think that helps me to feel well in my emotional life or my spiritual life or my mental life. So I want to give you an opportunity tonight to practice the things that I do that help me strengthen that ability to respond, even when I can't fix things or make it all better. And as it turns out, the ability to respond, like I said, it's not a fixed state. It's something you practice, it's something you do. You have to actively choose it. And in order to know how we want to respond, we first need to know what we're responding to. So that's what I'm going to start us with. I'm going to give you invitations here that could be done while drawing. And at any point, if moving your pen on the page, if writing is facilitating your focus or just making you feel well, please do it. But I'm also going to give you some cues and some opportunities to tune into the body. That can be at the same time as you're drawing, or it can be something you do separately. I'm not going to be drawing for this, mostly because one of the main things that I do to learn what's going on in my body and how I'm feeling at any given time is that I close my eyes. So it's a challenge to keep drawing and doing things while I'm closing my eyes. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna start there. And actually, the first thing that I'm gonna invite you to do as a way to tune into your body right now and to practice responding to it is to get comfortable. I always start my drawing health sessions with this cue or with this offering or invitation or request, because literally everything I say in these sessions is an invitation and totally up to you. Making that clear is really important to me because I don't think of myself as teaching you anything really here. I'm doing something that's very good for me. And if I do that with you, that's very grounding for me because I'm a socially oriented person. And also, I'm doing it for myself, demonstrating something that feels right for me. And I'm just giving you the information and the cues that might help you to learn what's right for you and how things feel for you. So it's very much not that I'm passing on information, but I'm giving you a bit of a guide to practice tuning into what you need and listening to yourself. And any of it that doesn't feel right, anything you discover along the way that you would rather do, that's great. I say listen to you before you listen to me, or listen to yourself more than you're listening to me. Seems simple, but it's remarkably hard, especially when you've attended this class thinking like, I'm the teacher and you're the student and you have to be a good student. That's really not what we're doing here. There's no good students. I don't even really see it as teaching. It's more just like, I'm existing and letting you witness me and inviting you to also be here in this particular way that I'm showing. So with that, the invitation to get comfortable. It's another thing that seems so simple, but is actually often something we suppress in ourselves. Maybe what would be most comfortable for you right now would be to like slump down into the most awful posture that you can imagine. Just like hunch and drop your shoulders and like loll your neck, stick your tongue out, whatever. Maybe that would feel comfortable. And for this moment, just say yes to it. That's the invitation. Just yes, it's okay. And maybe as you're sitting here, you're drawing or you're trying to, and you start to feel like actually lying down would feel better. That could be the best way to get comfortable right now. And again, listen to yourself more than me. So if it's not, no problem. But anything you need, like you might even need a moment to, allow yourself to imagine or to tune into your body for like, do I want to change my clothes right now? Do I want to put on pajamas? Do I need a blanket? Would I like a heating pad? Do I need some water, some tea? This is like radical stuff. Just getting comfortable can be really challenging to allow ourselves to do. So that's where we start. And how do you know when you're comfortable? Tuning into that feeling, I think, would be a wonderful thing to draw if you like. Is it that when you're comfortable, you sigh? Maybe your body goes like, oh yes, let the air out now. Maybe when you're comfortable, there's like more warmth in your body or heaviness. Maybe when you're comfortable, it's actually a feeling of strength, like you're no longer fighting what's natural to you. It just feels right to be leaning back, to be slumping over. Maybe you want to rest your head on the desk. The exercise is not in what you do, it's the noticing, and it's allowing qualities of feeling to be important. You're taking the inside of your body into account in this moment and letting that information have meaning and be valuable to you. Even something like just feeling comfortable, or like maybe in order to get comfortable, you want to move. Like doing a little shoulder roll can be really good for releasing tension up here. And as people who draw, taking care of your neck and shoulders is a great idea. Simple rolls, moving slowly, or like maybe you want to stretch. I always like to stretch like this. I think because drawing has these muscles very hunched over and they're quite contracted. So when I want to like take a break or something, I'm always like, oh, big, big stretches and arms up and all these things that really just come to me in the moment because they seem to feel good. So I welcome you to explore that as well. If it's rolling joints, if it's yawning really big, yawning is actually magical. So I highly recommend giving it a go as often as possible in your life. Feeling comfortable, getting comfortable can take a bit of time. Settling in, it's okay. So I offered that you could earlier, but I'm now going to give you a really specific invitation to take just a minute. I'm going to keep giving you these really short cues for drawing. Maybe you could even think about it more as like doodling or note taking in the form of a drawing. But I'm going to give you the invitation to actually draw yourself in the most comfortable position that you can think of, whether it's realistic or abstract, magical or concrete. Maybe the most comfortable thing you can think of is like curling in a ball in a cloud. Go for it. And there's just a minute, so it can be loose. I definitely notice that I want to take like a nice, relaxed, and also kind of cleansing breath whenever I settle into feeling comfortable. So I just got one of those. That was really nice. So while you're drawing yourself in the most comfortable position imaginable, just allow a little attention to notice, how does your body feel while you're drawing it? Does anything in you stir while you're drawing yourself in this like dreamlike level of comfort? And we're actually going to have a chance as we go. I'm going to start adding sense experiences that you can like draw in or around this same image. Or if you like, you can start new images for each of these experiences. But I'm going to go back into the eyes closed, trying to feel the inside of myself state and get in touch with next the sense of sound in this place that would be the most comfortable for me. which we can tap into through memory of what our favorite sounds are, what the most comforting and calming sounds that we have ever experienced have been, and drawing them into this moment, first by remembering them and imagining them. Maybe it's like birds singing outside the window, wind in the trees. Maybe you feel really calmed by the sounds of city traffic or a really heavy rainstorm. Visit it in your memory. Make it as real as possible for yourself in this moment. The sounds that make you feel safe. And then when you're ready, when you've felt it in your body, you can find a way to bring those sounds onto the page, either adding it to the drawing you just made of yourself in this magical, comfortable state, or maybe starting a new drawing that is just trying to capture that feeling, that safe sound, that sonic experience that would bring you peace. There's also this really lovely idea that you could bring in, you could imagine if you like, that sound, because it's actual physical motion of particles in the air, that the waves of sound are actually essentially moving closer together and further apart in order to create something that we can receive, that our eardrums are actually being touched by these waves and all of those particles are connected, that sound is actually a way of distant touch. So if connecting to the idea of sounds that comfort you is in any way challenging, you could imagine it more as a very gentle form of touch and some way that that comforts you, or maybe could comfort you. I was talking about accessing memories to find this, but if you can imagine a sound that you are comforted by in this imagined world, that is also okay. Drawing can be anything. So what you draw could come from memory, or it could come from possibility. The idea is just that the sound or the gentle touch is comforting, soothing. And yeah, it's just you're gonna hear me do that a few times because I'm doing this exercise along with you. I start to imagine something comforting to me, and then once it kind of settles in, I take a big breath. That's how my body tells me, I'm safe. I'm safe to take in air. I'm safe to let it tumble out. It's just a nice little personal cue. And you may have some other cue that you're discovering now, or maybe it's something that will come later. Yeah, I can feel it. And next, we'll visit another sense. This time, we're going to imagine or remember a smell that comforts us. Something that you could smell forever. It just feels so good. Bring it to mind, bring it to your memory, imagine it. And when you're ready, try to bring it to the page. Again, you can still just add to that first drawing, or you can make new ones. It's nice. I'm actually noticing that one of my comforting sounds is the sound of rain, and one of my comforting smells is the smell of rain. And it's so nice when they come together like that. Now, you may have noticed the trend that we're following our senses. So, for the next sense, I'm going to invite you to keep your eyes open for this one, if you like, because we're going to use sight. We're going to check in with something near us, around us, that is nice to look at. Maybe it's not deeply soothing. I mean, the room that I'm in just has nice but temporary things in it. They're not all among my favorite things, but I can appreciate the texture of the lampshade on my desk as being pretty nice. It's nice to look at, nice to feel. You might also gaze out a window, finding something pleasant to see. And if everything around you is yucking you out right now, just really not working, then go into your imagination. Close your eyes. Really, anything you want to see. Maybe now is a time to imagine something that would be greatly comforting, not just nice, something you would love to see, something really beautiful. You can definitely go into whatever memory or real or completely imagined visual experience you want. It can be specific, like this one item of clothing that just draws you in, looks so beautiful. Or it can be more abstract, like, I love the color red. I don't know why, I always have. It's drawn my attention my whole life. And when you're ready, when you're seeing it clearly with your mind's eye, bring that to your page as well. And again, if you have the attention to spare, just notice how your body is doing while you make these images, and also while you look back at them. They've been quick drawings. They may be imperfect, but if you like, you can just spend some time gazing at what you've already put onto the page. When you're ready, we're going to do a really fun one and imagine something we love to taste. Anything at all that you love the flavor of. Of course, you can do more than one thing. I feel like we all have many favorite flavors, and there's no limit here. I'm not placing an upper limit on how many things you can enjoy for this exercise, for this drawing. If more would feel good, add more. I'm going to say keep drawing as much as you would like to draw things that give you pleasure, things that soothe you and comfort you. And I'm going to introduce a little bit of the power and meaning of practicing this, practicing touching in on the senses and specifically seeking, remembering, and holding with our minds the things we love that give us pleasure of any kind. There's no wrong answers here. I just want to encourage you that if the things that give you pleasure seem like silly or frivolous or like unhealthy, that doesn't matter. Like for taste, if you wrote down like Cheetos and candy, like great. We're not choosing things that are, I don't know, more wholesome or morally right to do with health. It's purely oriented to pleasure. If you need to go back and add things to change your answers to include more of this silly stuff, please do. Because here's what I've learned about health is that we have so many ways that are internally oriented from that same survival mechanism of the brain being focused on things going wrong. Also things that are taught to us by society and by people around us, and all for the same or similar reasons. There's a great many influences on us at any given time to restrict ourselves, to fit in, conform, do things correctly, do things respectfully, and to do things healthily, right, according to, science and all the guidelines of how we're supposed to be in a body, how we're supposed to be at work or in a society. And it really, really influences how we allow ourselves to be in art, unless we find ways to undo those restrictions. So I mostly want to give you the understanding at least that I have. You're welcome to it, and you're welcome to leave it behind if it doesn't work for you. That those restrictions can restrict, as they do, our ability to respond, especially to our differences. And releasing those restrictions can actually be growing our ability to respond, which ultimately then is growing our sense of health. Now, that was pretty abstract. I've been informed lately that I speak in a lot of abstracts and it can be hard to follow. So, what I mean is that if something unhealthy, in quotes, gives you comfort and pleasure and soothes you when things are going wrong, then I would not keep calling that unhealthy. I would say it's a tool that you use to find your health again. If eating Cheetos calms you down such that you can actually relax and then view your circumstances with more of yourself available to respond in a way that is right for you, then maybe the Cheetos themselves are not the healthiest thing, but they bring you more health in your ability to respond. My favorite definition of it. So, with that in mind, giving ourselves reminders and permission to actually notice what feels good and what feels right is flexing that muscle, is flexing that skill. It's also hopefully just kind of bringing balance to this world that tells us all the ways we get things wrong, to all of the right ways to do things that we may or may not live up to. There are so many pressures to, change or be better or do things in a certain way. But when we tune into pleasure, we're tuning into possibility, and we're also giving ourselves permission to be us. I don't know why I love to eat Smart Food popcorn. It's this like cheesy covered popcorn that has been in my life since I was a child. I don't know why that's the thing, but I can literally be having a panic attack and then eat some Smart Food and it just goes away. And so I don't understand that mystery in myself, but I still say yes to it because it opens up possibilities for me to feel calmer and choose responses to whatever was stressing me out to begin with. It's a tool. Smart Food is a tool. And I think a lot of us know what hurts us very, very well. But do we know what makes us feel better? And then also, do we allow ourselves to choose to feel better, to do the things we need to feel better? It's hard. I think it's something we really need to practice. Like I said, it's not about doing away with all of the things that might contain you, and it's not about completely dismissing the rules or the things that might be helping us coordinate with others or with the world. It's just balancing. Of course, you want to pay attention when you're in pain. Of course, you want to help yourself as much as you can. And that's going to come whether you choose it or not, because your brain is wired to do it. But if you want to know what makes you feel good, you have to choose to do that. And the more you choose to do that, the easier it will come. And knowing what makes you feel good gives you more options for how to respond to the things that make you feel bad. Use that tool to help the bad feeling dissipate so that you can move into feeling comforted, feeling good, and then restore the balance that allows you to really think clearly and be present for whatever's going on. The magical thing about doing body exercises like this, where we go into our internal world, where we pay attention to senses, paying attention to the senses is immediately stimulating the part of your nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, that is required to help you calm down, to soothe, to be in your body in the moment. So using the senses directly helps us to do that, helps us to calm. But the beautiful thing about pairing that body experience with drawing is that the drawing is much more powerful for learning because it's engaging your imagination and your physical sense. We're bringing these two things together because practicing in this way, bringing relaxation, and then creating from that place, creating something to translate what is an even deeper kind of rooting of that thing in your body, in your psyche, all of it. Because your imagination is only available to you when you're feeling calm and well. Being in a fearful state, a stressed state, a tired state, the imagination is the last priority of the brain for survival. So it's harder and harder to be creative when you're stressed. It's harder and harder to think of what might help you when all of your resources are going into just staying alive, just getting through it. So drawing health every week is that practice, is just strengthening that muscle, tuning into what makes me feel well, how do I get comfortable, what smell might comfort me right now, what taste would feel good, what sense of touch is going to soothe me. And the more we practice this, the easier it is to find, and the deeper into that relaxation we can go, the more free our imaginations are to do whatever we want. So there was all the talking. There was all the meaning making from this thing. And in my conception of this evening, and also of the practice that I teach every Saturday, it takes an hour because I live according to an idea or a practice of meeting a minimum and just trying to be satisfied, trying to practice and repeat that minimum. I don't like to stay on Zoom until I'm completely exhausted. I like to be on Zoom while it feels good and to end the call while it still feels good. So I'm going to say, let's just be together for the next 15 minutes. And that this would be a really good time for us to do a little bit of sharing if we would like, especially if you found yourself adding to a drawing that you might get to show us so that we can see what everyone's version of health and comfort looks like, even if it's very imagination forward.
Should we ask people to raise their Zoom hands and spotlight them? Or is there another way you'd like to share?
I think if people want to share a drawing, that would be perfect. But if you want to just talk, or if you want to just add to the chat the things that are very comfortable for you, very, very soothing and exciting, like you can just drop those into the chat as you like.
I'll share a few images to get it started.
That'd be really nice.
That's all right. Well, the funny thing, let's see. I'm going to do the same thing everybody does, which is say, "Is this backwards? I can't read." And I know it isn't. So, but I'm going to say it. When we were just starting, I drew my. Oh, did you? Oh, good. I'm going to unspotlight you then. Maybe that'll make things better. Okay, good. I was just drawing all these like downward poses. This was in the beginning when we were starting, this downwardness, and I just kept scribbling inside, and it made me think of your website, which has a lot of scribbling inside bodies too. But anyway, when you said draw a comfortable pose, I drew myself hanging from a trapeze or something. Like, what the heck is that about? I don't know. But I wanted to just do what you were guiding us to do, and then I drew this sort of just squiggly sort of falling into the dirt or something. But I got really into toes and fingers a little bit, but toes I got really into drawing. Like I started to fake it there, and then I added them anyway. And then I'll be really quick. And this is the sound of just a gentle stream. It got a little crazy, and then this is just the smell of fresh air in the nose. And the pleasing taste thing, I hope this is not offensive to anybody who's maybe in recovery, but I wrote just a little taste of a peaty scotch because it can taste really, really, especially when it tastes like dirt. I really like that. And I also drew some acorns and some other things. But anyway, thank you for that. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was really enjoyable to draw those things.
Lovely. I also want to say, and this is probably because I do spend a lot of time like in these spaces because I teach it every week, like moving into the body and drawing. But for me to look at your drawings of the toes, I actually am really feeling the space between my toes right now in a lovely way. Like I almost want to just go and stick my fingers in between my toes because I can really feel it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think just focusing on my body a little more made me just sense those toes more than I usually do. That was
Yeah.
quite a gift. So I guess we can go, and we'll keep your deadline correct. So we'll stop at 8, but we've got 3 that we can look at. Nina, I'll spotlight her, and then we'll go to Ronnie.
Hey, thank you for this. So much, Georgia. I've been on a cancer journey this year and I'm in remission, but I still have surgery at the end of September. I started with the head and heart connection while you were first talking, and then just drew myself just sitting. I was just trying to get comfortable just sitting here. But before you even mentioned drawing yourself getting comfortable, I drew myself in my pajamas in my favorite lounge chair, which is where I go every evening and sit and watch Netflix.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then I immediately went to Kauai and the tropical, the little bird sounds, the cardinals especially, and the sound waves, the waves, just the crashing waves. And lavender, just smelling lavender in my garden. And then I have feathers next to my drawing table. So that was my object. And blackberry pie, because it's pie season and we have wild blackberries all over our place. So I'm living on blackberry pie right now. So
Gorgeous.
lots of very comforting thoughts and little moments. But I understand this imagination connection. This has been the hardest year of my life to be creative in. And my psychiatrist just said, focus on healing and hopefully the imagination creativity will come back.
Oh, yeah. And it will. Like your imagination and your creativity, they never leave you. They just become more accessible at different times.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Nina. We'll go to Ronnie next.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Georgia, for the wonderful session. My drawing is very tiny. I don't know if everybody is able to see it.
Yeah.
So on this side, you see my most comfortable position is probably lying alone on the bed, all spread out.
Yeah, starfish.
Just sinking into it, imagining myself going grounding kind of a thing. And then, the warm sun, the smell of the sun, the winter sun especially, and the fresh bed sheets, that's my smell and the feel of it. Listening to some Bollywood Hindi songs, maybe some old songs, some slow music. And for the eye thing I made, just watching the sky, the clouds and the trees from my window. And for the food thing, so first I thought, the comfort food is rice bowl and, just some ramen maybe. But then I realized that, really it is Doritos or some sort of chips and cupcakes.
Totally.
I tried to do that. And I just wrote something that, short-term comfort is really, really inevitable step in achieving that long-term care. So yeah, this is really helpful. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing.
Thanks so much, Ronnie. We'll go to Kama next if they're ready to come on screen. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Hi.
Hi.
Am I unmuted?
You're good. Yeah.
Okay. It was really interesting listening to what you were saying because I was starting to draw the things you were describing, which was really bizarre. And I started drawing this person floating in space or in water.
Oh, beautiful.
It's just the best feeling because I can never get comfortable 100%. So that's why I can't do meditation, because I just notice how much uncomfortable I am, or
Totally.
the different parts of my body that hurt a tiny bit, or itch or whatever. What do I have? I'm very sensitive to sounds, so like muffled sounds, or sometimes even D&D music, which is kind of counterintuitive because it's quite loud. Amazing. But it has a rhythm that really relaxes me, and I can focus a lot better. And like drawing, Basically being in a state of, what's it called? When you're in the zone, when you kind of draw
Yeah.
and forget about the world.
Mhm.
And yeah, just it's such a nice reminder, because I often focus on all the things that aren't quite right. And it's such a nice
Of course.
reminder of, you start thinking about all the things you enjoy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's lovely. Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's beautiful to see. Everyone is so different. It's delightful.
Thanks so much, Kama. We'll go to Mishka
Thank you.
next.
Hi.
Oops.
Oh.
Hang on a second. I almost renamed you instead of spotlighted you. There we go.
Hi. Well, it's funny that you mentioned being so different, because I actually also drew water.
Oh,
So,
okay. Some same as well. That's beautiful. Oh,
so I first started trying myself on a boogie board as a child, but I realized that I don't float on boogie boards anymore. And now I'm buoyant enough that water
yeah.
holds me up. So I just like interested in this sort of consonance between like the water of the world and the water inside of us. And then for the visual thing, that when you're underwater and you can see the little bubbles that trail behind your hands that look like kind of like a star field, and then the light coming in through the top of the water.
Yeah.
It's all water. So and then
It
the
can
sound
be, yeah.
of the waves. I've drawn about this before for people who come every week.
Amazing.
And then the taste is the salt. And I didn't know how to draw the salt. So I kind of connected it to the taste of the tears. So back to sort of the body.
Yeah.
So they're all together here.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
This
you.
is really calming. Nice way to go into a 3-day weekend. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mishka. We'll go to
you.
Jackie and then Alun. I think we might have time for the
So
three.
I just started and like added on
Mhm.
to it. I'll try to
Oh, wow. Yeah.
very take and repose like
Can't hear you though, Jackie.
What? I'm sorry. Like it all just kind of clicked. And
Okay.
some of these things can be like I double dip because I love the smell of hot coffee. And it tastes really, it's religious to me, like weak coffee. And there's
Jackie, you might be covering up your microphone. It's hard to hear you.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. So yeah, I'm just in various stages of repose here, and black coffee, which smells great and tastes great, and ginger soup, and peonies, which I have in my backyard. I almost fetishize them.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually have a peony tattoo. So much I love them, and the smell of evergreen is really big for me. And then there's the sound and the smell of salt water, and there's like a little cicada,
Yeah.
kind of out right now. And you should check out something in my space, and I have like a bunch of couple people gave me some of the glass projects that they were working on.
Nice.
Fairy lights in them. So.
Beautiful.
So yeah, thank you, Georgia.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Yeah. It's lovely to see how it like bloomed out, you know, it just grew across your page.
I like that. Bloomed. Georgia, do we have time for two more?
Yeah, I'm okay with sticking around a little bit beyond the hour.
Okay. We'll go to Alun next.
Yeah, I wasn't going to share because I actually didn't draw much. I started and then kind of petered out, but oh well, I guess I'll show what I did draw.
Great.
Start with just if I can share, can I share my screen? Or?
Yeah, Alun, you can. Hang on. There you go. I just changed it.
So like I said, I didn't actually draw much. I'm sorry. I kind of petered out for whatever reason after starting, but
Totally
I
fine.
suppose just lying down. And the sound, I don't know. I kind of feel like the most relaxing for me is not having sound is silence. So I kind of drew
Mm.
just clouds, and then I flipped the colors to make it look kind of more, I don't know, silent in nighttime. But then when it
Yeah,
came to
that's
smell, I
really
thought, well, I like forest, so I kind of turned the clouds into treetops by adding trunks and leaves.
nice.
And then I don't know, I wasn't sure what else to draw. So like I said, usually I have somewhat more complex drawings. Jay kind of pointed out, but that's as far as I got. So oh well.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Mhm.
Honestly, even a single image that you really connect to, like it has the same power. We just did a few, but even one, like it does something to you inside. I'm glad you created this with us today. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Alun. So we'll go to Edgar and then Marlene, and then that'll be it. So here's Edgar.
Okay, well, thank you very much, as always, for inspiration. Thank you, Georgia, for your insight. This is what I did. Let me bring it down here. I started out with your suggestion. I'm lying in bed is most comfortable, and there's my light shining as I'm going to sleep.
Beautiful.
Then the sound is the quiet click-clack of train wheels at night in a Pullman car of the 1960s. Note the blue
Okay.
nightlight by the bunk.
Yeah.
The smell of Chanel number 5 reminds my younger brother Frazier of our late mother.
Lovely. Yeah.
Looking at my glow-in-the-dark cross by my bed.
Beautiful.
Taste I like jelly beans. Taste my brother likes 3-scoop banana split from mom. So
Amazing.
thank you.
That's so lovely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Edgar. We lost Marlene, so maybe Marlene, not sure if Marlene disappeared or yeah, I think she's been having, yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll spotlight you again then, Georgia. Thank you for this. I'm going to put in the chat. So you do something similar to this every Saturday, and I know you do a lot of other things. I just put in the chat the link to the monthly version of that, and I'll put the link to your regular websites and your Instagram and all that stuff here.
Yeah.
And thank you. It's always, I mean, it's almost literally the definition of grounding to return to these sessions with you. I really appreciate it, and it's given me a chance to explore what like freedom and drawing at the same time might feel like. It's something I probably don't do enough. So I really appreciate this belief that I can be, what do I want to say? Just that I can feel comfortable and have some pleasure when I'm doing something creative rather than wrestling with it.
Yes. Yeah, there's plenty enough wrestling that comes with making comics or making anything creative. So
Yeah.
bringing even a little bit of this in, like I said, it's more balancing than anything.
Yeah.
It's never going to be all fun, but we can, bring the scales a little closer to even on what's hard and what's really good about it, what's restorative about drawing.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I will switch to gallery view. I will ask everyone to unmute themselves and say thank you, Georgia. And everybody, it's probably a change of seasons wherever you're located. So maybe you can go out and experience a little bit of that before either starting your day or turning in. Thank you, Georgia, so much. Thank you. Next week we'll have Robert still here.
Thank you.
Georgia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Georgia.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good morning, whatever.